Hey, welcome back to another review on art supplies. I just want to introduce some new art supplies for you. You can check these out. Molotow 4-in-1 refills. Yes, I gotta say, between a lot of the things that I use, I like their ink in particular. Now I will say they're not the only ink acrylic paint that I use, but as far as acrylic paint goes, this is really awesome. They have a large choice of different paints you can use, but I prefer their black mainly. So this is the one I chose to show. It comes in 108 millimeter, and it comes in a smaller one as well, and that one would be a 30 millimeter bottle. Now, personally, as I always say, if you're going to invest in paints, always invest in more rather than less. And the reason why I say that is because I'd rather have a lot of paint than to only have just enough. A lot more paint than you need than to have just enough. If you have just enough, then you gotta go back and you gotta go buy more, which means that you're gonna end up putting out more money than you want. So, now I like to use this paint in a number of ways, but I'm gonna show you some of the ones that I refill. These are the ones that I like to refill. They have different sizes. They have a lot of markers. They have twin markers now, which pretty upsets me because I wish I had went ahead and waited until the twin markers came out, because then twin markers would have been the bomb, you know, like really easy squeezy peasy, because I would have a smaller one on one side, thicker one on the other, but instead I've poured a lot of money into buying each size all the way up to the 70 millimeter and etc., which are pretty easy to refill. All you're going to do is you're going to open it. If you haven't seen the other videos, just in case you haven't, oh man, this one's pretty stuck. I haven't opened this one in forever, huh? Oh man, it's my one that I have opened before, more recently. So there's the pump. You take the pump out, you pour it in there, and as always, after it's in there, you're going to shake it, prime it, which is just pushing that little nub in a few times. It's going to pour out, and then you're good to go. And that's on all of these different markers, which I'm going to do a review on each marker by themselves. So if you're like, Aaron, you're pretty redundant. Yeah, well, I just want to make sure I hit every single marker that I have and every single product that I have. So there's going to be a lot of redundancy, and I apologize for that, but I don't apologize for that. So this is the Molotow refill 4-in-1, and I definitely recommend these colors. I recommend this paint. I recommend this overall if you're going into graffiti, or if you're even just doing books. What's great about this is that I can use it just like the most acrylic paints on almost anything, which is great because being an artist who likes to kind of discover things, I've gone from just doing paperwork to pianos to walls, and being able to transfer this onto a wall is pretty good. Now I will say it does not stand up against the elements. That if you are not going to varnish or put some type of protected coat over these, you're in to see it disappear through the elements, through UVs, etc., etc., etc. So if you're going to choose to use these, make sure that you are definitely keeping in mind that you're going to have to put something over it, a varnish or something. I will say that I bought this maybe two years ago, and it does exactly when I need of it, and it's lasted this long. So it is a great investment to buy the larger ones than the smaller ones. I've gone through smaller ones, but the larger ones tend to stay a lot longer than the smaller ones. This would be about 3 of these. And I haven't gone through any of them completely, so I will say this is a great investment to get the 180 millimeter bottle versus getting the 30 millimeter bottle and then running out and then buying them over and over and over and over and over and over. I will say that I haven't been using acrylic paints as often as I usually do, mainly because a lot of my projects I'm starting to gear towards watercolors and things like that. But these are you can thin these out. You can add water to thin these out. You can add I think it's alkaline, and it'll thin it out, and it works pretty well. Even after you've thinned them out a little bit, you can use brushes as well. So brushes. I've done stamping, which was kind of like, you know, stamp it into the paint and then use it to make the type of design that you want to make with these, which works really well as well. Let's see what else, which is pretty much what I'm going to say for everything. But these are cool. These are cool. I do like their color line, and the reason why I keep bringing up the color line is because as I started to research different type of acrylic paints that I'm going into and that I'm using, each of them have a color line which is slightly different. Sometimes the orange doesn't transcend from Montana to Pascal, or to the Molotow line. So it's like that's something you have to keep in mind, that these have their own colors, and when they have their own colors, that means you gotta get them all, like Pokemon. So I've tried every color. All of them are vivid, really, really vivid colors, I will say. None of them's been drowned out. I will say that the black Molotow is what I prefer to use over any other acrylic black paint that I've used so far. I haven't had any problems with them. They haven't dried up on me. It's just really, really good black. Whereas with my Montana, wasn't so well. My own Pascal's dried out a lot of the time. I don't know if it's a mixture of paint or if I just got a bad marker, but their paint has never failed me. Their black paint has never failed me, so I prefer their black paint now. You gotta take into account that I use this for black everything. So anything that I want to have absolutely black that isn't paper, I go to this. Well, second. I go to this first, but then I have a absolute black that I go to for second. So I will say the Molotow refill One for All is definitely something you should invest in, more so than the pens, more so than the 30 millimeter, more so than anything else. These paints you can use with or without pen, with or without. You can use your hand. So you do body paints with this. This is definitely a good investment. I also like that if I wanted to use spray paints, my spray paints will match my acrylic paint. I know, well, you're like, Aaron, that's kind of how the line is. If they didn't, then it would be kind of backwards. Well, yeah, but there are times when you spray paint something and you want to do some fine detail work. You can't always just pull out a marker and clean it up. Well, they made it so you could. So, if you are looking for some acrylic paint to mess around with and you're anywhere from expert to amateur, this is where it's at. This is right here. So I think that's all I want to say. You know, like I get on here and I don't know what to say about these art supplies. I know I use them all the time, and I know that some people are looking for techniques to see me use, but I don't really have a technique. I kind of just do and feel my art at times, and sometimes when I have materials that I feel and that I recognize as being really easy to use and really easy to understand, this is it. Like, if I make a mistake, I know that I'm gonna have to wait for it to dry before I can go back and clean it up. But for a long like time, this is what I used, whether it was painting on bowling pins or actually doing outlines on my paperwork. I would use this because it was absolute black and it will lay over my Copic markers, it will lay over my watercolors, it will lay over anything I want to lay it over as long as it was dry. But as long as the surface was dry. So yeah, I just like this black. So thank you for tuning in to my review. I hope you got something out of it, because that's my only goal. I just want to share my supplies, and hopefully by you seeing these supplies, you go, oh, I got to get that and try it out. And you know, I always put the links in the description if you're looking to get those. As always, shirts are in the description as well. But more importantly, practice and being present. Definitely get out there and do some artwork. I know I am. And I know that's all I'm about. That's what I'm about. That's what I'm about to do. You know. So, catch you at the next one. Practice and being present.